Kochie's Business Builders is proudly brought to you by our partners Dell and Google, who are helping small businesses grow.
Coming up on Kochie's Business Builders, an Aussie innovation that makes homegrown veggies as simple as plant, water, repeat. Plus, we help a life-saving family business break into the US. G'day and welcome to another episode of Kochie's Business Builders, where we help small business owners thrive and survive with great expert advice and inspiring stories of success. Joining me today as co-host is Nancy McDonald. After a decade-long career as a journalist, Nancy started her own communications business in PR and marketing for the startup and small business sector. She now manages the comms for some of the nation's leading fintechs and startups. Nancy, good to see you. Thanks for joining us today.
Same to you.
Now, with your background on journalism, how can small business capture the eye of the media?
Journalists only have a small window of opportunity for you to capture their attention. So you need to make sure that you just have bullet points, straight to the point, and something super interesting that captures their curiosity.
What is the curiosity of a journalist?
I think it really depends. So if you take a fintech, for example, a fintech reporter instantly wants to know how you're different, what your platform's doing that others haven't done in the past, you know, how it is that you can scale, the opportunity of scale into international markets, or the way that you've disrupted a brand new category, for example. So there's normally a few things, but the best thing is just to stay away from the buzzwords and actually have something tangible that a journalist can understand and run with.
Great advice there, Nancy. Can't wait to hear your thoughts on our first business, Survival. Now, Survival is a great family business based on the central coast of New South Wales that makes first aid kits and paraphernalia. They've been around for about 30 years and a homegrown success story, but they now want to break into the US market. We've talked to Survival before, Nancy. What do you think they need to do to capture the imagination of US customers?
I mean, Australia has such a great reputation overseas, particularly when it comes to safety and survival kits. I mean, Australia is one of the most dangerous places in the world, so they already have such a great, unique point of difference. But I think it's just, you know, keeping it simple for any market, not just the US, but how important a survival kit is. I mean, we know that as Australians that, you know, a snake bite, you only have an hour, for example, until it's completely fatal. But a survival kit can be that point of difference that keeps you alive. So I think just staying to that Australian charisma for as long as possible will really help them as they expand.
Thank you for that, Nancy. That's terrific. Now, let's catch up with Matt and the team at Survival to see how they've gone in their quest for US domination.
Mike, great to see you. Thanks for coming down to see me in the city this time. How have you been since we last met up?
Since I saw you last time, we've been trying to narrow our focus and identify one key area for us to put all of our attention to.
Awesome. So what do you think the major shift in your thinking's been?
Before, we were trying to do way too many things, and for a small to medium business, it was not achievable. So I think you helped clarify a lot for us, and it's just been dealing internally with some of the different personalities about making sure they're also on the same page.
But have you had time to implement any of those things that we talked about?
It's almost impossible to achieve things, you know, in a month's time, but it's the change of our perspective and then identifying what is our next pathway. And so we have identified our sort of long-term plan, and to achieve that, we're obviously going to have our short to medium-term plans in place as well.
We've talked about how the thinking's changed. What does that look like?
We sort of want to focus now onto the outdoor market into the USA. And to do that, we've got many options, but we were looking at whether we can start a process of contacting, identifying potential retailers, resellers, distributors over there to take on our product. It's
great that you've narrowed down your thinking to a market and a particular customer type. What ideas have you got going at the moment in terms of how you're going to make that a reality?
Yeah, long term, we've identified attending a number of trade shows and expos over in the US next year.
I love that you are thinking of going to a trade show because that is a great way of putting your brand out into the world. The problem I see with it, though, is that if you go to a trade show looking for partners, you're inviting serendipity to provide the right partner for you, right? And when you go to the trade show, you are going to have people come up and say, Mike, I love the brand, I want to work with you. The problem with that is that people will approach you because the arrangement and your product suits them. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're the best partner for you. So I'd be flipping it around and I'd be building your strategy from now. So instead of waiting for serendipity to drop somebody in your lap and choose you, I would be thinking about what does your ideal partner or your ideal distributor look like? You know, creating a really clear avatar of that person. Let's go and have a chat about how you can use the next 9 to 12 months to really hone your strategy.
Sounds great.
This way.
Welcome back to Kochie's Business Builders. Now, did you know that 76% of consumers are now using online as their main way of shopping or prefer online for at least one stage of their purchase journey? What's even more interesting is that we're spending at all times of day. We're no longer waiting outside shops for the open sign to flip around. New data from Google shows that more than half of all retail searches on Google in Australia and New Zealand happen outside the hours of 9 to 5. So how can your business get found on that path to purchase? Any time of day or night. Martin Dowling, Google Product Marketing Manager, is here to unpack why Google Ads is such a crucial part of the customer journey. Martin, good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start at the very beginning. What's Google Ads?
Kochie, I reckon the beginning's a great place to start. Now, lots of people are familiar with Google. It's the way that they find things online for businesses or they find information. But not all businesses are familiar with Google Ads, which is a really powerful paid marketing tool that helps their business grow. Google Ads is more than just Google search though. It also includes YouTube for video ads and also display advertising, which are the banners you see across the web.
Okay, so let's talk about search marketing. Why is that so powerful?
Search marketing is unlike any other type of marketing, and that's what makes it powerful. With most types of marketing, you normally work on something like interests or demographic data or location, and you're kind of guessing who you think your customer might be. With Google marketing and search marketing, it's the reverse. Your ad only shows up when someone's typing in exactly what you're looking to sell. So say, for example, you're a guitar business. If someone types in beginner guitars, and you've picked that keyword, up pops your ad. You can be really sure that your ad is relevant to the search.
So first step, open an account. Then how do you start a campaign?
Yeah.
How do you get moving?
Yeah, totally. There are 3 easy steps. The first one, think about your goals. Do you want your phone to ring or do you want customers to visit your website or come into your store? And you can pick those goals as you go through the modules. The second one is to think about your keywords. What words would a customer type to find your business? So get in your customer's shoes for that one. And then the third one is your budget. There's no minimum commitments, but we always recommend to start with at least $10 a day.
You see, I always say to business owners when they talk to me about this is take an interest in it. You know, experiment all the time. Just because something doesn't work doesn't mean another keyword won't work. So constantly upgrade your mix. Is that the right thing to do?
I think that's the perfect way. And what we've often found is consumer behavior can actually be a bit different. You may find a certain keyword is working better for you than you're originally expecting. And then you can start to invest more behind that keyword and grow your business with what your consumers are saying makes the most amount of sense for them.
Yeah, and different demographics, I suppose, relate to different keywords.
Exactly. So go broad and then you can narrow down as you start seeing success.
So if viewers want to do a deeper dive into this, where can they go?
My recommendation is always go to ads.google.com. In that way, you're either able to watch some videos about Google Ads or you can talk to our expert support team. They're a free team who will set you up from the very beginning all the way through to make sure that you're successful at the start.
Martin, thanks for the tips.
Thanks so much, Kochie.
Next up, KBB's tech guru Nick Brogden reveals how a smart prompter can really soup up your presentation delivery.
Hi, my name's Nick Brogden from Earned Media. Over 50% of marketers will tell you that video is by far the highest value content for achieving conversions from social media. But at the same time, video is also the most underutilized format, making up under 15% of content produced on Facebook and Instagram. Why is this the case? Well, even though it's on all of our to-do lists, it's not easy. So it's often relegated to the too hard basket. Well, here's a process that'll allow you to more easily create professionally produced videos by just using your mobile phone and a couple of apps. First, you want to create a video intro and outro that you can use to set the scene for all of your videos. The simple, fast, and cost-effective way to do that is to go to a site like Upwork, post a job brief describing how you want them to look, upload some assets that you want to be included, and some designers will then pitch for the job. Second is record the body of the video. I recently found out about an app called PromptSmart that really simplifies this process. Once you've shot the body of the video, you'll then want to fire up your phone's video editing app, add the intro, then drop in the body, add the outro, and you've just produced some professional video content.
In short, it's the world's best raised garden bed for growing edibles, and we have various features to make it very low maintenance and very easy for growing. Yeah, well, look, it's my business partner and indeed inventor, Matt Harris's brainchild, and it was, you know, like a lot of good old backyard stories, failure was the mother of invention, and he kept failing at different areas of trying to grow veg at home, and so he was a stubborn bugger, and he just kept attacking all those pain points of gardening, and there was born the veggie pod, and it's pretty well similar to the very first day he designed it. Matt was doing the hard yakka in the beginning and brought it to life, and then you know, he was scratching around for a couple of years, started off doing the little markets. And then the time came and Matt was designing a new product, which is what you see today in terms of its modularity. Needed a bit more dough, needed a couple of more blokes to put their shoulder to the wheel, a few more brain sets, different skill sets, all that sort of stuff. And the Three Musketeers formed about 2 years after he started. So that was, what, about 10, 11 years ago now for us. And we've just gone from strength to strength. The three of us were sort of mucking in there for a good couple of years. You know, we weren't taking salaries out. You know, we were leaning on the better halves, all that sort of stuff for a good couple of years. The number one challenge for us at the beginning really was exposure and people getting to know us. And indeed, that's why we went on Shark Tank at the end of the day. We had a pretty good team. We thought the three of us were pretty good blokes, and we had our skill sets and experiences and fairly knowledgeable. We had the best damn product in terms of a raised garden bed in the world, but we needed to get to that next stage. You know, because we were slogging ourselves, and I was driving around Australia, living out of the back of the van. You can only do that for so long. It was taking its toll somewhat, so exposure. And then we went to Shark Tank, of course, and that was our real big pivotal moment, and still remains our number one pivotal moment in our business. We sold more online in those first 2 nights than we did in our first 2 years put together. The veggie pod is really feature-rich and highly beneficial, low-maintenance garden bed. So after 12 years, Vegipod's finally coming indoors. Super high quality, full UV sunlights. Our signature self-watering wicking beds in the bottom. Adjustable brackets, so you can go up and down depending on the heights of your plants. And the real killer, we're bringing indoor edible growing back to how Mother Nature intended, soil. We're now into the hundreds of thousands of units sold out there. Australia and New Zealand have been the heart of the business from day one. But we're in every continent now, bar South America. So it'll be interesting to see where we go over the next few years. But, you know, we've got high hopes.
Look, I think honestly, to begin with, I kind of shied away from working with just the female network. There wasn't really anywhere for female entrepreneurs who were in the tech industry to really connect. It wasn't actually until I lent into it, though, that we found our first investment from 2 female syndicates and really started pushing that way and becoming part of the narrative of, you know, what it means to be a female founder in the startup ecosystem.
I found that to be really important to connect with other women in business, because if you're not in business, you don't understand the cost of business. But more importantly, as a mum and as a daughter and a sister, and especially a community person, I need to have people who understand the cost, my cultural backpack cost, but my mother cost of actually investing what I do in business.
It's so important to connect with other women in business to help each other succeed. I mean, just from sharing stories, tips, and there are unique challenges that come with being a woman in business, and to be able to share those is really, really amazing and helps so much in building confidence and just having a camaraderie of women around you.
Connecting with other women in business is vital for success, and especially my success in inspiring red birds. There's a huge underground connection of women all over the world, and there is such an unspoken rule about helping each other unconditionally, and I love being a part of those networks.
Welcome back to Kochie's Business Builders. Earlier in the show, export expert Cynthia Deeren caught up with Matt from Survival to see how he had progressed with his plans to taking the business global. So let's check back in as Cynthia offers some advice on how this Aussie family business can crack the big time in the US market.
So we've narrowed down your strategy to one market and one product, and in the next 9 to 12 months, you're looking at taking the snakebite kit to the United States. Tell me a bit about how you're planning to do that.
Look, we've identified attending a couple of trade expos in 9 to 12 months' time, so we've got a long lead time. What do you think about this approach?
I think going to a trade show is a great idea, but the trade show is a long way in the future, right? It's 9 months away, and it's going to be a pretty big undertaking that's going to cost a lot of money. So there are two things. We want to make sure you get a great return on investment, and we also want to make sure that we don't leave it all to chance. So if you go off to a trade show and use that as a way of finding a partner, hoping somebody will just turn up and pick you, you're letting everything be dependent on serendipity, when what we really want is you driving the train.
What are the touch points that we should be thinking about when we're looking at retailers to approach?
Again, this is really all about what do you want. So if you start at the top, there are lots of different kind of distributors. You could work with a distributor that only supplies one channel, or as a product specialist, so only specialises in snakebite first aid kits, for example. Or maybe it's one that works with huge chains. Does the distributor have the same values as Survival? Are your teams going to be able to work well together, both in terms of the way they work and culture? So if you're a really flexible organisation and you suddenly find the distributors super process-driven, maybe that won't work for you.
How do we work out the right price to charge for our products overseas?
It's a great question. There are a few ways you can do it. The lazy way is how most people do it, where they just work out, what's it going to cost to produce this product, and then they put a margin on top. And that is a really good starting point, but it's not quite enough. So let me draw something for you. So here is my model that I like to use to help people understand how to figure out what the right price is for their stuff, for their product in international markets. Up the top here, we've got cost. And to be honest, this is our baseline. This is what most people do, and if you're lazy, you'll just work out how much it costs to manufacture your thing, and then you'll put a margin on the top. That doesn't take into account, though, all the different bits and pieces and variables that come into play when you're selling overseas. So we have to work out our cost to manufacture plus our cost to sell overseas. So think things like the margin that your distributor is going to take, the margin that any retailer is going to take. The next thing is we've got to look at what the competitors are doing. Again, this is not the only thing you look at, but it's important because it'll give you a range. You can look at what other products are out there in the market, what are the things that are kind of similar to what we're selling at the moment, and what will the market bear? Is it $5 or $100 or somewhere in between? The third thing that we need to look at is what's the unique value proposition that you offer, and obviously with Survival, you offer something really unique. It's just not any old first aid kit. It's a first aid kit which has got labelling and instructions for how to use every piece of equipment inside it, got a book that comes with it that tells you how to use it. So it's a superior product, and it's got a unique value to the customer who's going to use that. So I've shared some ideas and some steps that you could take over the next 9 to 12 months to get the ball rolling. Where do you think you'll take it from here?
I think we can take action now, which is much better than us thinking of just waiting 9 or 12 months. I think we can build up some warm leads, and you've given me some great strategies, plenty of homework and lots to do. So I really appreciate your help.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Nancy, some really interesting advice from Cynthia there, but the two big pain points, pricing against competitors, and also building a reputation amongst government departments, which, of course, would be one of the big buyers of survival kits.
Yeah, I think that's so important no matter what country as well, because every consumer wants that extra validation. I mean, journalists as well, but consumers really shop around now and they want to make sure there's a tick of approval on anything that they purchase. And when it comes to pricing, I mean, the same. It's all about shopping around for the best possible price and making sure that you have a really high quality product, but that also is digestible from a budget point of view.
Nancy, great advice. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
And remember, if you are looking for small business tips or the latest news and expert advice, of course you can find them online at kochiesbusinessbuilders.com.au or follow Kochie's Biz on Facebook, LinkedIn, Insta and Twitter. See you next time. Next week on Kochie's Business Builders, it's time for a cuppa of kindness with Luke Cook. We meet an entrepreneur who gets his kicks from selling sneakers, plus can RBI Australia score a home run with their baseball business.